It's Monday. I'm sitting at my desk, scrolling through Amazon, looking for some clothes to buy, but I simply cannot find anything worth buying, or anything I do buy is rather too big or too small. And I think to myself, surely there's a tool out there that can simplify this for me. And so I searched and searched, but found nothing. Now for many, they would go back to their lives as if nothing happened. But for me, that missing tool sparked something exciting inside me. An opportunity, a chance to fix a problem that I, and I hope many others, were facing. With desire driving through my veins and ideas flowing endlessly across my brain, and with this solid goal in mind, I set off to create my first AI app, findmeclothes.ai. So the next day, I set off to begin my first AI app project. But instead of coding a regular website from scratch like I would normally do, I decided to give myself a little bit of a challenge. Rule number one was that the website needed to incorporate some sort of AI element in the backend. And if you don't know what that is right now, don't worry, I'll explain it in just a bit. Rule two was it had to be made in under 48 hours. And finally, rule three, most of the website has to be written by AI. With these three rules created, I got started by creating a new next.js project and launching my AI code writer of choice, vo.dev. Then I typed my very first prompt of the challenge, make me a cool looking website with the homepage written in Next.js and Tailwind CSS. Well, it's not great, but it's definitely a starting point. From there, I continued to input more and more prompts, slowly iterating and building up the website until it started looking pretty good. After about 6 to 8 hours, I finished up with the front end of the project and called it a day. Before we move on to day two, I feel like it's important to explain to you exactly what I have planned for the website and how it will all work behind the scenes. So to explain it in a super simple way, I created these two little diagrams, one explaining how the website works for the user and the other for what's happening behind the scenes for all of you coding nerds out there who are interested. Pretty much, number one, a person signs in and then gets their measurements, store preferences and stuff like that. Then they click start search, which costs 1 token. And after some time, it presents a bunch of different options for them to choose from. And finally, each of these searches consumes a token. So if a user would like, they can purchase a bundle of tokens for some money. Pretty simple, right? So what about behind the scenes? Well, when a user signs in, they are authenticated using Supabase authentication, and a document about them is created in my Supabase database with all the information such as height, weight, etc. Now, when they click start searching, it uses an API called SERP API, which searches through a bunch of Google shopping items using a search query that is pretty much this long string sentence stitched together using all the measurements and preferences and stuff like that. Finally, I send all the results through to another API, this time for ChatGPT, who looks for the top 20 best options that matches the measurements and sizes and returns as a JSON, which is presented super nicely in the front end. Now for tokens, it's pretty simple. I made it so that it creates a Stripe checkout session for each bundle, and using webhooks, it sends the result of the transaction to the database to update the tokens for that user. And that's pretty much it. Let's move on to day two. I broke day two down into two sections. Morning, work on the back end, and midday, tweak any issues or bugs I was facing. And oh boy, were there a lot of them. So I sat down ready to smash a bunch of work, and then I realized what I really had to do. The back end. It took me a while to get it all working, from the API endpoints to creating Stripe payment sessions. Every single thing that could have went wrong did go wrong. I was getting error after error, but after millions of prompts and over 50 error screenshots sent to VO, I finally fixed everything. 8 hours into the backend and I had everything done and dusted. Thank God. Now I just had to make some short GIFs for the homepage and make the website mobile responsive. So I got to work, filmed some website usage using OBS, and got VO to make everything responsive. And that's it. With the tweaks out of the way, the project was essentially finished. So I deployed it to Vercel, I bought myself the domain and connected them to the DNS. And that is how I created or coded my first AI app project in less than 48 hours without code. It was honestly super fun, and I felt like I learned a hell of a lot more about AI APIs and how they work behind the scenes generally. Also, I found out just how capable AI coding assistants really are in 2025, with vo.dev doing an absolutely phenomenal job coding up most of the website, with some small tweaks from me, of course. Now, if you're someone with little to no coding experience, I really hope that this video gives you a positive outlook towards coding, and now you can get pretty much most coding done with AI. Now, of course, you need to learn the basics of your desired coding language, but you don't need to get into all the technicals and drain hundreds of hours practicing really complex stuff that you're never going to use. Lastly, I just wanted to mention that 100% of the revenue received from token purchases will be going directly towards funding my political campaign here in Wentworth. So if you would like to help me out, be sure to buy some tokens, and hey, now you get to search for some cool clothes too. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Take care.